So, welcome all of you. This is the very first live session by me. So today I'll be sharing you something. Why my topic is need of cybersecurity and why cybersecurity is essential nowadays. As you all are knowing that it's been this number of cyber attacks has been increased a lot due to this pandemic. Many of them like phishing attacks or cyberbullying, and much more attacks are being placed or are launched during this pandemic. So this my motive about this session is to just give you awareness about what we are lagging regarding the cyber security. So I'll start the session now. Okay. So yeah, you know what cyber security is need. Okay. So what is information security and why do we need it? Maybe in the form of hard copies or soft copies, or in the form of mobile phones or anything, or any memory card or anything. It there is a chance of getting it stealed or stolen, or maybe it not be confidential. So there is very much need to to secure the information. So and nowadays you all know that phishing attacks are a lot on the trending attacks with individuals, locally normal people. So for that we need to have information secured. It may be uh, securing your mobile phones with any passwords or fingerprints. Now we have got fingerprints to all mobile cell phones. Then we have fingerprint system on laptops devices, and some iris scan or face recognition security also. So that is why we need to have information security. Next, information security can also be explained in this type, which is known as a CIA triad. We cyber security professionals, we mostly follow this protocol, or you may say that this is the main procedure. We have to keep this in mind that whatever things we are building up, whatever innovation we are doing, so we need to follow these three this triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So confidentiality means limit of information access, means only that I first explained that information should be secured and should be accessed by the owner only, not to be accessed by unauthorized users or the owners. So limiting the information access, it should be limited with the owner only, or if shared with other people. Then we have integrity. Integrity is can be accessed anywhere from by the authorized user. It may happen it happens many times that the information which you want is not available, or some sort of network issues or server issues you may not be able to access. So there the integrity loses, and you may suffer with some of the attacks or some loss of your information. Next is the availability, that if you are storing your data, it should be maintained, and it should be consistent and should be accurate. If your data or storage or database is hacked or somewhat you may say that compromised, then it is impossible to maintain the availability, and you may face again some loss of your some may lose their jobs due to this factor. Okay, so moving on further. So let us go with one example on CI triad. So this is an example where we have two users from a company named as Bob and Harry. on my left side is Bob and on my right side is Harry. Now Bob is sharing an information, confidential information with Harry, that their company is going to make 10% loss in quarter 4. But one of the third person or the third party or an attacker, we may say, that he wants to say that I don't want to give the actual information, I want to interrupt it them, and I want to change the information. Might be he might have some issues with the company, or he just want to do something, maybe something loss of the company. So what does he do? He interrupts in the in between the conversation, and he tries to lose the integrity of the confidential message. So what does he do? That he copies the packets of the message, and he tries to manipulate them, and change the 10% loss into 0% loss, and then he tries to send that information to Harry. So what does Harry here? Harry, the confidential information is interrupt manipulated, and 10% to 0, and the Harry, he receives the manipulated information as our company is going to make 0% loss in quarter 4. That means he considers that our company is not in the loss this quarter. We are going good. So might be he in the further works, he might be something do work according to the information he received. So this is how we whole cyber security or whole the information security is dependent on confidentiality, integrity, and availability. That is the CIA triad. Next, moving to the security threats. What are the types of security threats? So basically, there are two types of security threats, two major, which are then subcategorized further. They are human factors and natural factors. Human factors includes threats like information theft, identity theft, some malicious events, software thefts, viruses, bombs, etc., etc. And the natural factors include the lightning, hurricane, tornado or tsunamis type, which may destroy the system and you may not be able to recover your data. Okay, so we now let's see what type of actors and are involved in these attacks, and what are their motives doing this. Okay, so first are the hackers. Their motive is to gain money from the organization or the government. As I said, some they try to just they have their what we call, they have their motive to gain either the money, or they want to just disturb the overall schedule of the organizations or the governments. Next, we have the hacktivisms. They usually reveal sensitive information to the public or perform DDoS attacks. DDoS is the distributed denial of service attacks. In this attack, the attacker uses botnets to attack the person. These botnets are nothing but a network of malicious computer system which are already infected, and they continuously send a request to the victim, and due to continuous receiving request, the system may crash or may not be able to work properly. So these are the activisms. They only want to reveal the information to the public, which is actually not known to them. Next, we have the internal users, who are these users are mostly working in a company or in an organization, and sometime maybe they unknowingly they do something which is not to be done, and they lose the data or they lose the information, and some do intentionally for the sake of doing, that we would have that word in Hindi, khunnas, that type of work they do. So these are the internal users. Next, we have the government officials or government hackers. Usually, they perform attacks on various government, state governments or other nation governments organizations to spy on them or to monitor what are they doing, like US does every time with other countries. They try to spy on the other countries systems, or we may say the organization systems. These are the government actors. So these are the main four actors which actually are involved in cyber security or cyber attacks or cyber warfare. Next, moving on to some hacking organizations which are well known. There are some good hacking organizations who work for good side, and some are for work for gaining money or some gaining their own pride. So let's see one of them one by one. These are the fancy bears. Fancy bears are the most well-known hacking organizations all over the world. They are involved in hacking since Hillary Clinton was, maybe from before that. She during the attack during the election period, during her time, they actually attacked their government systems and tried to manipulate the election system. Then we have Syrian Electronic Army. Fancy bears mostly belong to, I think they belong to US, I think, and Syrian Electronic Army. They are from Siberia. They belong to Siberia. They are another hacking organizations. Then we have Indian Cyber Army. These are, but obvious they are from India, and they try to prevent or they try to investigate and recover the systems attacked during the attack. Then we have National Security Agency. This is also United USA's government organization which actually deals with uh, as deals with the securing their own systems and protecting their government or their nation security from the cyber attacks. Next, we have National Anti-Hacking Group. This is also from India. This also works as an good. We can say that white hat hackers are mostly involved in this. So they try to prevent the government systems and all the organizations. Then we have the anonymous. This is also one of the bad hackers, or we may say that black hat hackers organization, which is also very famous for attacks earlier on election post and election systems. Next, we have types of malwares. There are several types of malwares. Basically, these are the main type of malwares which can be inserted or can be inserted or injected into a victim's system. So let us see it one by one. Virus are nothing but they are small. We may say that some unwanted files in the system which actually are very bad for good systems. It may destroy whole of your information or whole your system, and it's very difficult for an individual to recover the data from them. Then we have adware. This adware doesn't harm anymore. Means it doesn't harm anyone actually. It does. The hackers try to just show their ads on some sites unknowingly or unwantedly. Next, we have the rootkits. These rootkits are the actually they are the malicious software which allows an authorized user to privilege the access to the system without knowing to the owner, and they also have various softwares like keyloggers or Trojan viruses or worms or ransomware, and they are used as I previously mentioned for DDoS attack. It is a network of malicious computers which defect the system, and they attack the system, and by sending continuous signals or requests to the system, and they crash the system. So these are the rootkits. And then we have the spyware. These also are used for spying on any individual or organization or government officials accounts or personal computers or systems. Then we have ransomware, Trojan horses. Trojan horses are nothing but we know the story of Trojan horse. So they are nothing but they try to when they enter into a system, they try to be the actual or validated or verified files. But as soon as they enter the system, they totally destroy the system from the main core of the system. Then we have remote access. Remote access is nothing but these are some sort of links or some sort of small softwares or bots which once installed without knowing the owner, the systems can be accessed by the attacker, and the user may not be know that the systems are being accessed by someone. Then we have worms. Worms are nothing but they have the ability to they have the ability to mutate themselves into other files. They try to spread themselves into the whole system. Then we have the keyloggers. Keyloggers are nothing but type of small maybe web applications or some sort of applications which actually when installed in your computer unknowingly, they whatever you type on your keyboard, the all key logs are being stored into the attacker's file, and they can steal your password or maybe your confidential information or personal data. Next, we have some threat examples. These botnets are, as I told, these botnets are nothing but the malicious computer infected computers which are used for DDoS attacks or DOS attacks on a victim system. Then we have logic bombs. These logic bombs are very interesting. These like we have the crackers in for we when Diwali comes, we use crackers. At a specific time they blast. So logic bomb concept is the same. They are whenever they are installed in your system, they they are programmed in such a way that when you try to click on that specific file which is being installed unknowingly into your computer, and when you click on that file, the file means we say that it explodes into your system, and in some what we call in some few seconds it can destroy your whole system, and you cannot do anything for that. These are the logic bombs. They are actually designed for only specific time. They can only at a specific occasion it may destroy your whole system. Then we have advanced persistent threat. These advanced persistent threat is nothing but they are the system, they are the activisms which or a computer network which can actually gain a computer access or a computer network, and remains undetected for a long time. There mostly this happens with there is an example when the US military was being attacked by this threat, by this attack. So almost about for 1 year they were these malicious code was undetected, and after 1 year they found that this attack was being made on their system, their military systems. Next, moving on to cryptography. This cryptography is one of the part which actually we use for saving our confidential information, or whatever we do is confidentially saved or encrypted using this technology or this method. Basically, what we use cryptography means is hiding or coding messages from the third person. Means if, as I mentioned earlier in confidentiality CIA triad, so the intruder cannot access your secret conversation between the two parties if and only if he has or she has, or the attacker may have your private key or the secret public key. If they have, then they can steal your data. Instead, your system is being secured by this cryptography. The study of cryptography is known as the cryptology, and the opposite of means encoding, decoding the cryptographic messages is known as the cryptanalysis. Next, this is one of the hardware which is maybe everyone might not know about this hardware system or hardware device. This is the trusted platform module, which is the cryptographic device. This is a dedicated crypto processor integrated into a computer hardware. What does it offer? It offers a secure generation of keys. As I mentioned that cryptography works on public key and private key. So it works on generation of keys, secure generation of key, then random number generation. Then we have remote attestations. It has a facility that it can attest the hardware or can it validate the hardware remotely. Then we have that data binding and sealing feature for this. Then it has a secret RSA key burned into it, and at the time of manufacturing, which allows this TPM, that is the trusted platform module, to authenticate the hardware, that the hardware used in your system is properly secured and it's not infected by anything. Next, we have a same module or same device in our mobile devices, which is known as a secure element. This is a similar hardware which is known as the secure element, which we have into mobile devices. It is tampered resistant chip integrated into the main board of the mobile devices or in the microprocessors, or embedded into the microprocessor, and it supplies secured storage for cryptographic keys and provides a secure environment for applications. So this is the main basic block diagram of how does SEM works. Next, we'll see here is the process application process between the Android and TEE. Let us see what TEE means. TEE is nothing but a trusted execution environment. This actually this actually works as it provides isolated execution rather than your main OS, and it provides applications to run rather than on your own main OS. Okay, so next, coming to the next part, we have multi-factor authentication, which we by which we can actually save our systems or we can maintain the security. So these are the main three types. They are something you know, categorized into three parts. They are something you know, something you have, and something you are. So something you have means what? You know means what? You know your passwords because mostly we use online applications. So we need to have some secured passwords. We need to have some ATM cards, or and then we have ATM pins for the ATM card. So these are the multi-factor authentication by which we can save our own credentials. If these are lost or these are taken by someone else, then there is loss, very huge loss for an individual or any of the organization for their information loss. So next we have something you have. Something you have means what? We have ATM cards or PAN cards. If these are stolen, or these are we may say that they are duplicated or cloned, that they can be used for stealing your data, or your ATM cards can make your bank account zero, and you may even don't may not know also about the attack performed on you. In the third category, we have the something you are, which is the biometric data, that is you yourself. You are means you yourself. Then you have your identity cards, and so nowadays we have the system to actually authenticate yourself with the biometric or by showing your ID cards. So let us see some examples on multi-factor authentication. We have RSA secured key. This secure ID key is some sort of physical device which actually is used for cryptographic purpose. Means whenever you want to authenticate through a system, then you need to have this device with you. When you insert this device into the system, you get random number or a random code by which you can actually access to the system or get logged into the system. Mostly these devices are not much used these times. These were used earlier. Many high profile organizations or secret organizations use these type of devices with them. Next we have the biometrics. We have biometrics with for mobile phones. We have biometrics for Aadhaar card verification also, or for authentication also, or we have the OTP system also. Then this is one of the very well known feature of the laptops. This Windows Hello has two types of authentication system. Some systems support the face recognition, and some support the fingerprinting system. So Windows Hello is one of these type, which actually helps you authenticate your systems without using your passwords, or without using your PIN for getting login to your systems. Next, moving on to AAA security protocols. These are some of the security protocols which are being used along with the CIA Triad. These protocols mean mostly are authentication, then we have authorization, and then we have accounting. So authentication means we have multi-factor authentication. Then we have certificates, which we mostly now see that the certificates are digitally signed. So this is one of the digital signature authentication system for the certificates, which can be validated by a secret ID, which is allotted to the person who has issued the certificate. Then we have LDAP protocol, which is known as the lightweight directory access protocol. Then we have RDS protocol. Then we have Kerberos. I won't get into much deeper into it. Just for your information sake, these are some of the protocols which are used in. Then we have TACACS Plus, which is not much used nowadays. It was used earlier. Then we have single sign-on. This single sign-on is nothing but, as we know that if we once registered, or once we are logged in into a system, or we are accessed into the system, then we can access it for certain time or certain period through the system. The best example for this service, or some type of protocol, is the cyber cafes. We are first we are first authorized or authenticated with verified with the our ID proofs, and then we are allotted a 30-minute time or 1 hour time for this accessing the system. After the time runs up or the time ends, we are automatically locked out from the system. So this is one of the type of example of authentication. Then we have authorization, which is OAuth system or ACL. This access control list is nowadays means we are using it with the Wi-Fi systems. If you have Wi-Fi routers at your system, please do try this access control list feature in your Wi-Fi routers. This actually gives you gives only those users to access your Wi-Fi who are already listed into the system. Into this list. This list this actually accepts. You need to enter your MAC address of the users or the IP address of the users, and then only those MAC address or the IP address can access the Wi-Fi or internet connection from that device. Then we have accounting. Accounting is nothing but keeping records of the resources and services which the user had accessed, and there's the system we have with our network net providers. They actually have the log data of all the system, whatever whatever sites we are accessing, whatever applications we are, or whatever services we are going through with. Next, moving on to Rudi Attack. You might be familiar with this because this is very famous, and this is from the very famous cyber security web series, which is nothing but Mr. Robot. In the first episode, this attack is been explained there. This Rudi attack is nothing but it means "Are you dead yet?" Means it kills the system or kills the victim very slowly. It is nothing but a DOS tool which performs at the slow. It performs the attack at a slow rate and slow with a web server type. It actually has a form type website which actually takes you to means it purposely makes you to enter your confidential information and takes has a switch has a click button on it, which actually takes you to the targeted malicious software. And then once you clicked on that button, you are destroyed. All your system is being under attack. So this is the example of or the diagrammatical description of Rudi attack. It attacks the web server very slowly or at a slow pace. Next, moving on to the live examples, which actually I or you might have known to these attacks recently occurred or launched. I'll go with State Bank one. Recently, State Bank users were warned about a phishing attack by phishing attack sharing the information or with the email ID known as NCOV, that is ncov 2019 @gov.in. With this email address, these phishing attacks were launched on the SBI users, and almost among about 2 million users were infected with this attack. And it happened or it got launched in the last month of almost I think 23rd June. The news was out. Then we have an incident at Galwan, which is at China and India border. So China attacked our cyberspace, our Indian cyberspace, almost 40,300 times in a week, and they tried to use DDoS attacks, then internet protocol hijack, and these types of attacks were performed on Indian cyberspace. It was also in the last month. It was also in the last month, and it was dated out something 22nd of June and something. And this is next third one is the example which actually I found it with one of my friend, which one of my friend was one victim about for this attack. This attack was nothing but he first got a call that from a person that your what cashback amount is being pending some for something to 1,000 rupees or something, and if you want this amount, So please, please share, please send us some money so that we can process your cashback offer. So firstly, he was said to send some 350 rupees or something like that. Then he sent 500 rupees and so on. And and continuously for 3 days he kept on sending money. And at the end, when the person's contact was not connected, or person was not available on any of the number given to him, then almost it was 3 days, and he actually lost a huge amount of 12,000 rupees during this pandemic situation. This 12,000 rupees is a lot, huge amount. And then before at I think so second day, he was told to download any desk on his mobile device. And he was asked to after downloading, he was asked to share his ID, user ID with system ID with the person. Means the attacker asked him to share his user ID, and after getting connected with his AnyDesk to his system, he told him to enter the UPI address. And he was if he tries to shows his proof to the uh, to the police officials, he will show the that he has sent the money to himself. And behind, actually the account was cloned, and the all money went to the attacker. And after 5 days, he one of my friend called me and said that something has happened. He lost his 12,000 rupees with a cashback, with calling as a cashback offer, and on that basis I lost my 12,000 rupees. So when I actually went to him, and I actually saw that, it was a shocking thing that uneducated person can be bullied or can be attacked in this way. And actually it was a very live example and very nice example. I was impressed for that hacker who actually tried means, he cloned his account with keeping the victim's account at the front, and back end his account was there. So these are some of the live example with cyber attacks we actually faced on it. And recently, you might all have know that some higher officials Twitter account was hacked, and they were actually asked to pay some bitcoins to get their access back. But Twitter resolved this issue very soon. So next, moving on to the actual statistics of this data breach, which actually happens with the states or the governments or the nations. So this is actually the cost of data breach, which was done by software one, which was actually occurred due to software vulnerabilities. Here is the statistics from the year 2010 to 2016. The in 2016 the cost was something like 10,197 count was there due to cost. These were the cost of the breach due to software vulnerabilities. Next, this is the statistics from only the US country. Cyber attacks cost something $400 billion yearly around the globe. Means you can just imagine this $400 billion yearly all over the world is being spent or are wasted into the cyber attacks, getting our systems again back to us. Then we on cyber crimes, some individual perform cyber crimes, and this actually affects only US government for up to $100 billion. Then for the data loss, it cost up to $2.9 billion in 2019. This is the only these records are from 2019, year 2019. Next, this is the global average, which actually cost last year, which is which cost actually due to the data breach, and it cost up to $3.2 million. And the average size of data breach were 25,575 records, and it took almost 280 days to 79 days to identify the breach, and they gave the average it about per record that it was $150. That means almost at our times it may almost 35,000 maybe. So these are some statistics globally. By actually recently I had a course of IBM on Coursera. So from there I got this all information. It was very nice to read the actual the data breach reports and all this. So this is the state-wise report or country-wise report, wherein India stands at almost something $1.83 billion every year. It is measured in cost of data breach. Then we have global average cost of data breach, which is almost highest at $4 billion in the financial year 2016, and in 2019 it was somewhat $3.92 billion. And it was very low at very low in financial year 2014, which was almost $3.5 billion. So, yeah, this is the sector-wise description or the sector-wise statistics of the data breach, which are per capita cost of industry sectors. Which so in this it cost a very highest cause was or affected was the health sector, which was almost 408 US dollar billion dollars. Next we have, this is the very astonishing and very surprising record, which was actually I was also surprised with this record, that India loses almost $128 million every year due to data breach, and data breach causes somewhat 35,636 records every year, and per record it cost almost $5,019 rupees per cost, and with other globally we, if we say, then it goes up to something $150. Still almost we require some almost you take it 300 days, that is the whole year you our Indian government take to identify the breach and recover our data. And here is the rank of India, which actually comes on something 15th rank, which total cost for ranking the highest data breach cost. Then the major root cause of data breaches are malicious and criminal attacks. Then we have the industrial sector, which was very much affected with it. Next, okay, so that's it for from my side. So let's summarize or sum up with some things which we have seen through the session. So it was information security, securing an information with some protocols or some basic measures, which counter measures which we can actually implement. Then we saw the CI triad, which where actually your cyberspace. You can say the whole cyberspace is dependent on this triad. Then we have the cryptography, which is one of the best known, or the basic cryptography is the basic countermeasure to keep your one-to-one connection secured or encrypted. Then we saw some live examples and some statistics on based on the cyber security or cyber attacks. Okay, that's it for me, and that's it from my side. I thank you all for attending it and listening silently from my side. Thank you, and I think now you might start discovering some security measures for your own systems, or you may try to teach others or make aware of these cyber attacks or cyber threats, and try to protect them, or make aware to protect themselves from these attacks. Okay, so thank you everyone. You may for more for more queries or some information, if you want for these with these attacks, I haven't shared much of the not some content with you, which was actually very deep enough, and this is, I think this is very deep enough for you to understand as a new user, or some might have learned in some of the curriculum subjects. So you can contact me. I am available on every platform like Facebook, end up. And thank you once again. So now we start with the Q&A session. If you have any queries, or if you have any doubts, if you have any debates, you can continue with me.